Alright, so the other day I posted on Twitter, I am now very strongly of the opinion that the Hypixel network should test run medium-sized buffs for weekends as a community. And this would include things like 10-20 Magic Find, 20% Slayer XP, 20% Catacombs XP, 15% Skill XP, Heart of the Mountain, Heart of the Forest XP, Powder, Whispers, Pet Luck, Strength, Intel, Crit Damage. Imagine the hype. And the idea here was basically, I really, truly, and honestly believe that if the Hypixel network focused more on these like large-scale events, get people excited to log on to the game for the weekend. You hit everyone with that 20% Magic Find. You hit people with that 20% Slayer XP stacked on top of a good Mayor. People will log on and people will get on the game. Because recently, the Hypixel server has kind of been a little stagnant in terms of player count specifically. Aside from that, it's just not been expanding. And I really think that's something they could do to get a lot of people back into the game. They should bring back the skill XP boost we got back in 2020, but on weekends, not turning it on and then forgetting it for weeks. Yeah, we used to get these. We used to get 20-30% skill XP buffs. Pretty consistently, actually, as well. We used to get those, fairly often. Now, we kind of don't get special events, whatsoever. I'm not really asking for, a full, we need a Dante event every 2 weeks. I don't think that that's, something that's necessary or even something that would actually bring a lot of people in. I really think, though, that if we got to the point where they were doing these, consistent, oh, we're going to run this event, oh, we're going to run this event every single weekend, tie it in with the Mayors, maybe have something that goes, alongside the Mayors, it could really do a lot of good for the game. I really feel like they could use things like Hunter Fortune, for example. Get people hooked, get people back in the game, you know what I mean? They don't necessarily have to be weekend-only events. You could really do, 20% skill XP for the next 7 days. Another big reason why I suggested that it would be weekends only is because that's when the majority of the player base will be able to get on. The amount of people gained would be more than the amount of people who would only play on the weekend. Another thought there as well, yeah. I really think that they just need to be hyper-focused on getting more and more people back to the game somehow. And I think if you need to literally dangle a carrot in front of their face in order to do so, so be it. That's just how it has to be. No, I don't think that Dante specifically should come back. I'm not of that opinion at all. I think that if they wanted to do another special event kind of similar to Dante, they should absolutely consider it. I think one of the biggest things they could do is something related to the Breach. I know there's I don't know, there's enemies from way back in time or whatever through the Breach, or the Starborn, for example. They should have an event where the Starborn crashes into the hub or something like that, or flies through the Breach and we have to do something to prevent a planetary collapse event or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that updates would bring more players. The problem is I don't know how many people come back with an update. Listen, if the foraging update was not able to generate the server getting back to 50-60k players, there's obviously a bigger problem there, right? Foraging was not able to single-handedly bring the game back to huge player numbers. That's kind of why I'm discussing this in the first place, is because it's clear that while updates are great for those who are still here, there's a lot more interest in the game. They are doing really good on updates. This isn't a dig at all. I think they're actually doing really good on the updates that we've been getting. The problem is there are not enough new players coming to really increase the player count. Hypel wrote, foraging didn't have enough marketing. I'm sure nobody outside of the Skyblock ecosystem heard about it. I don't disagree with you. I really don't disagree with you. I think that the Hypixel team, they did a little bit of marketing here and there, but I don't know, why they didn't get people, I don't know. Why not pay a bunch of YouTubers to play it, bigger YouTubers? I don't think most people would be, upset about that if they, said, oh, yo, Dan TDM, do you want to play Skyblock? We'll pay you 10 grand. I think it would generate more than the cost. You know what I mean? Or, anyone else, I don't know, try to get Tommy back on the game for something. Regardless, though, I'm more looking at, how you improve the game going forward. And I think if you market, weekend events, come on, log on Skyblock, get this buff, you'll be cooking, things will be better. And obviously, updates are another big part of that. I think pretty soon I want to make a video talking about Hina's chapters and how it can be more easily spread to the rest of the game. I had an idea where if you take Leo, who is this NPC in the hub who you talk about, leaflet armor with. It's just kind of ridiculous. He's just kind of useless. Replace him with an NPC that actually has like a chapter system for the very beginning of the game. I don't believe that 60k players plus isn't possible anymore. Grow a Garden gets like, I don't know, 15 million, 20 million people on. And there are that many people who own Minecraft. Like, there is no reason why servers on Minecraft can't get 200k, 300k concurrence. I just don't buy that at all. I think you can easily get those numbers. I mean, look at how many unique accounts have like even played the game, right? 29 million? 29 million players have logged on Skyblock. If you can get 1% of those people to play the game consistently, you have 290,000 people. You even get 0.1% of these people back to playing the game consistently, that's another 29,000 concurrents. Like, I think that's entirely feasible. I think the Hypixel team would be able to get 0.2 to 0.3% people back if they actually like locked in on marketing, really made the early game super streamlined, and added a bunch of weekend events and things like that to really get people like excited. I think that's the way forward, frankly. By special events, you mean something like Dante? Theoretically, something like Dante, yeah. But I also think just even smaller scale events where you just provide the community with a stat buff would be more than fine, I think, to get people back into the game and excited about it. Yeah, I really think, though, that that's like the smoking gun, is if you're able to get 0.2% of the player base who has logged on the game in the past back to the game, not including the 30, 40,000 people who can consistently play, right? That's another 50,000 players added to the concurrent player count. That should be something that they go after extremely hard. Like, that should be the #1 focus, is the marketing for those people. They should be doing constant, how do we get these people back? How do we get them to play the game again? I think there's 2 ways you get that back, right? The first is by catering to these individuals. How do you cater towards them? Magic Find buffs, skill XP buffs. Make the game as simple as possible for them to get back into the game. Skill XP buffs, Slayer XP buffs, Hunting Fortune, things like that. Show them the new features, show them why they should play. We respect you, we respect your time, we want you to play the game again, hop back in, right? #2, they have to make the early game experience a lot better. Right now, the biggest problem with the early game experience is that the vast majority of players who log on Skyblock the first time have no idea what to do, and the NPCs in the hub do not help them. They just don't. So how do you fix that? You make something like Heinous Chapters, but for the hub. For the early game experience. That way, what you don't get is a group of players who feel incentivized to log on and then immediately look up a guide. They look up a guide, and that guide tells them, you know what you're going to need to do, little Timmy, who's level 2? You're going to need to go mining for 400 hours if you want to enjoy this game. Newsflash, 99.9% of people who hear that are going to immediately log off and never play Skyblock again. Going off client for guides is a 99% roadblock. I agree. In 99% of cases, that is why people don't play the game. They look up Skyblock starter guide, they see it's an hour long, and they log off the game. And they never come back. How does Hypixel fix this? They have to put the guide in-game somehow. Players are so much more okay with a guide when it's in-game. If in-game you have a good guide system, you get onboarding right. And you get players like crazy. For example, what could actually be done here is you could put something in the hub like Heinous Chapters, where it shows you probably want to unlock this pet because of this reason. So Grandma Wolf, because it unlocks you combo. Why do you want that? Because you get more Magic Find. Why do you want more Magic Find? Because then you get more drops. That's it. Something like the Skyblock Guide is abysmal at this. And it only gets worse as you keep going, right? Like Rock Pet? Rock Pet is in the list? Like, it's just not very good. I'm very happy about Spider Tier 5. I think people misinterpret me saying Skyblock needs to do XYZ other thing as Skyblock bad, because I don't think Skyblock's in a bad state at all. I think the foraging update's great. I love the foraging update. The problem at this point is just that we need new players. It's completely unrelated to the content that we're getting right now. Is the player count low? I wouldn't say it's low. I would say it's normal. It could be higher, reasonably. And I think it being higher would be better for everybody. You know, if all of a sudden the Hypixel team were able to get a ton of people back through good marketing, really good in-game incentives, excellent quest development for the early game, making people feel like they want to play the game again, get back to 80 to 100k people, guess what that means? More money in the Hypixel store, which fundamentally means they can hire more devs, which means we get content faster. To kind of round out my point here, I'm just like thinking about where Skyblock has gone over the past like 4 or 5 years, and I really think where the game started to stumble was when it became too complicated for the early game player and for players who were new to the game. Back when it first came out, even all the way up until around the time that like Dungeons dropped, the game was relatively simple for an early game player, right? Like, even Dungeons wasn't that complicated for a player to get into when it first dropped. I think right around the time of the Crimson Isle, a lot of the mining revamps, not the first one with Dwarven Mines, but, like, stuff after that point. And then even more recent stuff, like with the Rift, and then also with a lot of other revamps that we've gotten, players just feel really confused. Players just don't understand, like, what to do next, how to progress, how to actually catch up, things like that. And the game doesn't do them any favors because a lot of the systems that are supposed to show people, here's what you're supposed to do, are not very good or just don't exist. And that's why I'm really happy about something like Heinous Chapters. But I think if you want to bring people back to Skyblock, there are 2 things you must do in order to do so. The first thing you need to do is get people the incentive structure to get back on, once again. And that incentive structure is more fortune, more XP, more wisdom, more skill XP, more Heart of the Forest XP. Like, just get people, throw them a bone. Get them back on the game. Number 2 is while you do that, you need to take a system like Heinous Chapters, which is very well designed. It shows people the basics, and apply it literally everywhere. If I was a development team right now, after I release Tier 5 Terra, I would drop something like Heinous Chapters for literally every island in the game. That would be my number 1 priority. Drop it everywhere. And then have it fully accessible, like in the Skyblock menu. So right now, if you go to foraging, it's in your Heart of the Forest, Heinous Chapters. I would have it be a literal button, like on the main menu, where you can click on, and it dependent on which island you're on, it shows you that island's chapter system. I think doing that would completely change how people play Skyblock in the early game. And not only would it change that, which I think would be extremely good for the game long term, but it would also get people back. That's all you need. Like, that's another thing here, is I don't want this to be something where it's like, oh, you know, the admins are going to have to spend another 6 months to make this feature. I truly and honestly believe the admins could have something like Heinous Chapters out for every island in 2 weeks. Easily in 2 weeks. Yeah, pin it. I would honestly get rid of the quest log. This quest log kind of sucks. Break it up into 3 different things. So have 3 different sections of the quest log, right? Left side, Fairy Souls. The middle is everything other than chapters. And the right is chapters. Take 2 weeks. Shop in some good stuff when it comes to chapters. Get some good rewards in there. Get people incentivized to play the game. Teach people how to play the damn game. And I think you have a Skyblock that easily has 60,000 concurrent players by the end of the year. And you don't even have to add any new content. That requires 0 new content. You're just giving people buffs, and you're giving people reason to log on the game. I'm stealing this idea and putting it on forums. You can do that. Feel free. Honestly, feel completely free. If you want to steal any of my ideas, you don't even have to credit me. Put it on the forums. I really believe in this. Yeah, I agree with you, Industria. I think the problem for me is less progression guide for specific islands and more progression guides concerning interlocking systems. I really think something like Heinous Chapters solves that problem. It really does a good job of showing you the basic systems of the game and breaking it down into individual parts, and then you can, from there, see how these systems interact, right? Here's what Leo can have, right? One of the things that could be in the new chapter system for the hub. You want people to craft leaflet armor? Okay, have that be an objective. You want people to speak to the 11 other NPCs? First of all, I think that that's gimmicky and stupid. I think you should only have to speak to a couple of them. But you can actually have it be like, oh, it'll lead you directly to this NPC. Like, it'll show up, like, where they are. Sure. I would get rid of a lot of the talk to the different NPCs and have that be all in Leo's menu specifically, so you don't have to go around like a lunatic looking for every single person. And there could be little things underneath, like different tabs or sub-tabs that tell you certain features. Like, for example, it could explain how damage works. Very basically, if you want to teach someone who's just played Skyblock, you don't need to be super in-depth with them. You want to tell them how damage works? Here's what you tell them. Strength is a multiplier on your damage. Crit chance is the chance that you'll hit a critical hit. And crit damage is basically the multiplier on that damage. So as you can see, what you're going to want to do if you're a new player, you want crit chance to be 100 or higher. You want your crit damage to be high, and you want your strength to be high. But you want to keep them relatively close together so you maximize your damage. That's like a couple lines of text. Obviously, I didn't say it in the best way, but I bet if you're an admin and you actually know how the system works in detail, you can probably think of a better way to say that. There are a billion different things you could do and add as specific features built into the chapter system that players could access anywhere through a quest guide or a quest log, which I think you should be able to access there. I think it's really silly that for Heart of the Forest, Heinous chapters are in this menu. It's just so silly. Yeah, talking to Leo the first time you log in, frankly, it should be as simple as, what skill do you want to start first? And there's buttons. You know? It says, foraging. Note, you probably want to be on 1.21 if you want to do this. Mining. Combat. Farming. Have those 4 skills listed. And then it takes you down a path specifically for that skill. And at any point you can change your idea. You know, there's a menu here and you're able to go through and you're able to see, like on the bottom, let's imagine that this is the menu. Right here it says, had enough of XYZ skill, change your mind. That would very easily get people excited about the game. That's what the map is for, no? Shows you where the skill paths are. Well, I don't disagree with you. Does the map, honest to God, tell me anything anymore? They changed it recently. Like, what is this telling me? Like, obviously, it's a very cool visual, right? It shows me how big the island is, or how big all the islands are. But, like, what does this tell me? I don't think that this is bad, by the way. I think that this is great to show off, like, all the different locations you can go. It's really visually cute. I don't disagree with it. But if you're a new player, this is worse than nothing. Because it just overwhelms you. You want my truth nuke, though? I think if you're a new player and you add something like a Heinous chapters, you build it into Leo, have it so all the other islands are darkened off until you go there and complete that chapter for the first time. I don't know how you would do that, but I think that'd be so peak. Like, imagine, like, all the islands are dark. Like, full dark, like, you know, unlockable character, whatever. First time you go to Galatea, you get to, like, chapter 2 or 3, the island is lit up now. And that shows you a location that you've gone and you maxed out. Obviously, it's not a big deal. This is just a cutesy thing that I think would be cool. But something like that would get people motivated to actually, like, you know, fill out the entire list of where you want to go and do all the basic things. But anyway, that's my recommendation. Do weekly buffs every single week. Give us something to do. 10% skill XP. 10% magic find even. I don't know. It could be a huge number. I don't care. 20% Slayer XP buff. Heart of the Mountain. Heart of the Forest, etc. And then also do a chapter system on every single island. I think if the admin team locked in, they wanted to do it, they could do that update in a month. About a month. Do you guys think that's unreasonable? They already have the code, like, finished for Heinous chapters. I think you could do every single island in a month. The hardest part would be workshopping the rewards and workshopping the actual tasks. But if you do that, I think the game is forever better. If you're watching this video on YouTube, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.